Hi, this is Shamul Chandra for Long Tail News, Episode 1 of 2025. Today I'd like to talk to you about GenCoding. Now, generative coding has gotten really popular amongst many of the prompt engineers in the Valley and outside the Valley. It's really exciting to see a turn of events where people who know the names of different types of coding design patterns and different types of keywords emerge as victorious in this gameplay of who's the really good coder. And you don't have to be an excellent coder, you just have to know the gist of what is necessary, the ingredients that are necessary to make an awesome recipe to create a wonderful piece of code that lasts for a long time. Now, the first thing you're going to ask is what type of coding language is preferred for this type of coding exercise. I would highly recommend using either C, or some other language that's common amongst all three platforms: Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I used to be a big fan of Python 2.3, but I'm really big on C these days. And I really think C is going to take over the world again, like it did back in the 1980s and 90s, with the introduction to those languages by Bell Labs and other companies who wrote competing compilers like Turbo C++ and Borland C++. Okay. So now, why is this sudden shift back to C++? Why aren't we using next generation programming languages like Rust or Go or Flutter with Dart? Flutter framework with Dart. Now, the thing that causes problems is when you're using your simple GNU C++ compiler or your LLVM C++ compiler. That makes it much easier because you can switch between the two and there won't be much of a difference. And there's an ANSI ISO type standard for C++, C++ 1721, which makes it very common thread amongst all the different platforms. You can get Swift on all the different platforms, but it's not exactly the same Swift that you see on the same build that you see on the wonderful Macintosh with all the GUI wonder stuff. So I would highly recommend, using C as your core algorithmic logic and wrapping around that Objective-C Swift UI in any manner you want. If you're on the Mac platform, if you're on the Windows platform, you see C++ with Win32 and MFC around it with Maui Swift UI type stuff, And on the Linux, use GTX Plus Window Manager for C++. This is why I really love programming. You can use the same code, it's portable, put preprocessor macros, and get a lot of stuff done. That's what I love about coding, and that's what I love about GenCoding. It's just sensational. You save so much time. You have hand-optimized code done to your liking with zero errors. If you do it the right way, if you know how to code the right way, you know how to prod the particular GenCoder engine the proper way, you can do magical things. Okay? So what I'm going to talk about is, what is the future of GenCoding? What is about agentic AI? What about chain of thought? What about RAG? All these things come to mind when you think about GenCoding or generative coding. So first, let's talk about agentic AI. Initially, when you started using something like a Claude or something like a GitHub Copilot Pro or GitHub Copilot Pro additions for different businesses, you had to deal with clicking every so often and in injecting different changes. Now that has all changed with agentic version on both the Claude and the GitHub Copilot Pro. So now you just click one button until you run out of tokens to output, and you just keep on churning until you get done. And that's pretty much it. It's just sensational job by the engineers, sensational job by the different competing LLMs that compete to get your market share from the different sectors or different language groups. There's Google, there's wonderful OpenAI, and there's wonderful anthropomorphic. All these are sensationally well done. Even more, you can even go to the X.AI from Elon Musk Twitter branch, or X.com branch for research and development, X.AI. And on top of that, you can even go to local Llama 4 or local DeepSeek 4, or whatever it is, the state of the art at this time. And I think it's a really good idea, but not all of them have full features to integrate with the particular IDE, which in this case can be Visual Studio Code or Claude's a custom version of Visual Studio Code. Now, why is this very important to us at this time of year? Well, everyone wants to create something new, a value of subsistence value that can take the test of time, and that's where generative coding comes in. It has a very broad appeal amongst the techno geeks, the techno nerds, the coding elite, because they don't have to code all the time. They just watch this churn out code, and then they can use some test cases to verify if it's working right, write some documentation, and get it going with some more markdown files. This is out of this world stuff, because was not there earlier. The whole NL to code concept was so original, and it started with a particular tweet from me to Greg Brockman of OpenAI. And I said, well, I want to create a natural language to code converter using OpenAI's GPT, and I want to do it using some credits, if you could offer some credits. So they thought it was a great idea, and voila, Codex was born, and many others were born, like Gemini, and before that Bard. And this gets to the heart of it. Things are amazing and chaotic. All the companies are competing for that edge in terms of performance on different metrics, on different scores. This is as good as it gets for consumers. Competition breeds excellence, and excellence breeds a new type of coding style where novelty trumps everything, when you can use very, very spicy, unabridged English dictionary words to get the job done. And that's episode 1 for June 3rd, 2025, Long Tail News with Shamal Chandra. Hope to see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.